Halloween, the one night of the year when fear feels fun, when people wear masks to be someone or something else. The streets glow orange, kids laugh under ghost lights, and for a few hours the world pretends the darkness is harmless. But what if it isn't pretending? Every year, hidden beneath the laughter and candy, there are stories that don't end with just a prank, stories that don't fade when the costumes come off. They start out ordinary, someone walking home, a knock at the door, a game played in the dark, and then twist into something that crawls under your skin and stays there. Tonight you'll hear 3 true Halloween stories that do exactly that. A masked man who doesn't blink, a forgotten trick-or-treater who refuses to rest, and a game that should have stayed just a legend. So dim the lights, lock the doors, because after these stories, you'll never look at Halloween night the same way again. And before we start, if you've ever had a creepy Halloween moment you still think about, tell us in the comments below. Your story might just appear in our next episode. It was Halloween night. 17-year-old Riley was walking home after a small party with her friends. The streets were quiet, the kind of quiet that makes every sound feel louder. Street lights flickered, leaves crunched under her shoes, and her bag of candy swung lightly by her side. Then she heard it, footsteps. Slow, steady, matching hers exactly. She turned around, expecting to see another trick-or-treater, maybe a drunk college kid, but no. Standing under the streetlight was a tall man wearing a white, cracked mask. No mouth, no features, just 2 dark holes where the eyes should have been. He didn't move. Didn't say a word, just stood there, watching. Riley froze for a moment, then picked up her pace. After a few blocks, she looked back again. He was closer. Every time she turned around, he stopped dead in his tracks, like a mannequin caught mid-step. By the time she reached her house, her hands were shaking. She ran inside, slammed the door, locked it, and tried to calm down. But when she looked through the curtains, he was still there, standing under the streetlight, not moving, just watching her window. Minutes turned into hours, and he never left that spot. When the police finally arrived, the man was gone. But what they did find, a set of muddy footprints leading from the street right up to Riley's bedroom window. And then another set of footprints leading back out. Creepy, right? Was it just a random guy in a mask or something else entirely? Tell us what you think down in the comments. And if this story freaked you out, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next 2 true Halloween stories. It was late on Halloween night, almost midnight. Most of the neighborhood lights were out, the candy bowls empty, and the streets quiet except for the occasional sound of wind brushing through piles of leaves. Inside a cozy little house at the end of the street, Tom and Lisa, a young couple, were cleaning up after their Halloween party. Empty cups, crumpled candy wrappers, a fake spiderweb hanging off the ceiling fan, the usual post-party chaos. Lisa was half asleep on the couch when it happened. Knock, knock, knock. They both froze. Tom checked the time, 12:47 a.m. Way too late for trick-or-treaters. Lisa laughed nervously. Probably some drunk kid, she said. Tom sighed, grabbed the candy bowl, and opened the door. Standing there was a little boy, maybe 8 or 9 years old, dressed in a torn, dirty costume, the kind of old-school ghost outfit made from a white sheet. The edges were muddy, and his candy bag was half rotten, hanging from one hand. "Trick or treat," he whispered. His voice was soft, almost shaky. Tom blinked. "Hey buddy, you out here all alone?" No answer. Just those big, sad eyes staring up at him from behind the holes in the sheet. Lisa came over with a smile, trying to play along. "Well, you made it just in time," she said, dropping a few pieces of candy into the boy's bag. "You must be freezing. Want to come inside for a minute? We'll get you some hot chocolate." The boy nodded, barely, and stepped inside. They sat him at the kitchen table, poured some cocoa, and turned around for just a second to grab a towel from the counter. When they looked back, the chair was empty. No boy. No sound. Just the faint dripping of water onto the kitchen floor, tiny wet footprints leading from the chair to the front door. Lisa's hands started to shake. "Tom, did you see him leave?" He shook his head slowly, his face pale. They opened the door. The porch was empty. The night was silent. But lying right outside the door was the boy's old candy bag, torn open, with a trail of candy pieces leading down the driveway and fading into the dark. The next morning, still freaked out, Tom mentioned the story to a neighbor. The man went quiet. His expression changed. "You mean the little boy in the ghost costume?" he asked. "Yeah," Tom said. "You know him?" The neighbor took a deep breath. "About 10 years ago, a kid wearing that same kind of costume was hit by a car on Halloween night. The driver never stopped. Every few years, people say they see him, still trick-or-treating, still trying to finish the route he never got to finish." Tom and Lisa didn't sleep that night. And every Halloween since, when the clock hits midnight, they leave a small bag of candy by the door. Just in case the little boy comes back. Creepy, right? Would you have let the kid inside or slammed the door the second you saw him? Let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you're brave enough for one more, stick around for the final story, The Basement Game. Every college has that one story. That one urban legend passed down from upperclassmen to freshmen, the one you laugh at when the lights are on, but whisper about when they're off. At Riverside University, that story was The Basement Game. According to the legend, if you played it in total darkness on Halloween night, something answered. No one agreed on what it was, a spirit, a demon, or just a cruel prank invented to scare people, but the rules were always the same. Go into a basement. Turn off every light. Place a candle in the center of the room. Repeat the phrase, "We invite you in," 3 times. If the candle flickers, you're not alone anymore. Most people joked about it. But one group, 5 friends, decided to actually try it. It was around 11:30 p.m. Halloween night. The campus was alive with parties, music, and laughter echoing through the cold October air. But down by the old Anderson Hall, where the dorms met the woods, the air felt different. That's where Maya, Chris, Jamie, Lena, and Tyler found themselves, flashlights in hand, half drunk on cheap beer and bad ideas. The basement had been locked for years. It was used for storage decades ago, but most people said it was abandoned because of a maintenance issue. No one really questioned what that meant. Tyler picked the lock with a bent piece of metal, the door creaking open with a long metallic groan. Cold air spilled out, thick and damp, like something had been trapped in there for too long. They laughed nervously, trying to shake it off. Inside, the basement was huge, rows of pipes along the ceiling, graffiti on the walls, and the faint smell of mold and rust. They set the candle down in the center of the concrete floor and killed the flashlights one by one. Instant darkness. Only the small, weak glow of the flame remained, flickering against their faces. Maya grinned. "All right, let's do this," she said. "We invite you in, we invite you in, we invite you in." Nothing. They waited. The air felt heavy, but no one spoke. Then suddenly the candle flickered. Jamie snorted. "Probably the wind," Chris frowned. "There's no wind down here." Then tap, a sound. From the far corner of the basement. Everyone froze. "Did you hear that?" Maya whispered. Another tap, louder, like metal against concrete. Tyler aimed his phone flashlight toward the sound. Nothing. Just shadows and old boxes. He laughed it off, turned back toward the others, and the candle went out. Total blackness. Someone gasped. Someone else laughed nervously, trying to sound brave. Then came the whisper. Right behind Maya's ear, low, male. Words she couldn't understand. She screamed, and in the panic, Chris fumbled for his phone, turning on the camera light. The flashlight beam hit nothing but dust. Then they realized Tyler was gone. His phone was lying on the floor, still recording. Lena picked it up, her hands shaking. The video showed Tyler's terrified face, whispering, "Guys, do you hear that?" before the camera spun toward the darkness and dropped. That was it. No scream, no struggle, just silence. They ran, all four of them. The door slammed behind them on its own, and when they tried to open it, it was locked from the inside. Campus police later searched the basement. No sign of Tyler, no footprints, no blood. Just a single burned-down candle in the middle of the floor. The official report said missing person, but everyone on campus knows the truth, or at least what they think is the truth. Since that night, anyone who goes near Anderson Hall's basement says they hear it too, a faint tapping sound. Then a whisper, and if you stay long enough, the candle lights itself. So, if you ever find yourself in a dark basement on Halloween night and you feel like you're being watched, don't call out. Don't move, and whatever you do, don't invite it in. If you made it this far, hit subscribe for more true creepy stories every week. And tell me in the comments, would you dare play the basement game, or would you just walk away? So, what did we learn tonight? Sometimes the scariest part of Halloween isn't the masks, the fake blood, or the haunted houses. It's the quiet moments, the ones that feel a little too real. The echo of footsteps behind you when you're sure you're alone, a knock at your door after midnight, or that strange, heavy silence that fills the air when the laughter dies down and the night feels wrong. Because deep down, Halloween has always been about one thing: crossing lines. Between the living and the dead, between what's real and what we tell ourselves isn't. Maybe Riley Stalker was just a man in a mask. Maybe the lost trick or treater was just a story parents tell to scare kids. And maybe the basement game was just a cruel coincidence. Or maybe, just maybe, these stories are warnings. Reminders that sometimes, when the veil gets thin, something looks back. So before you sleep tonight, take a second look at your window. Make sure your doors are locked. And if you hear a knock when you're not expecting one, maybe just don't answer. If these stories got under your skin, hit subscribe and join our growing community of horror lovers. And tell us in the comments which story felt the closest to you. Which one still lingers in the back of your mind? Because remember, you don't know everything about the outside world. And sometimes the dark is listening.